Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, a kind and beautiful princess named Snow White lived with her wicked stepmother, the Queen. Snow White's beauty shone like the morning sun, and her heart was pure as freshly fallen snow. The Queen, obsessed with her own beauty, often stood before her enchanted mirror. "Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?" the Queen asked, her voice filled with vanity. The mirror shimmered before replying, "You, my Queen, are fair, 'tis true, but Snow White is fairer than you." Rage filled the Queen's heart. "This cannot be. She must be destroyed," the Queen hissed. The Queen summoned a huntsman and ordered him to take Snow White into the forest and end her life. "Take her far away and make sure she never returns," the Queen commanded, her eyes cold as ice. The huntsman, though loyal, could not bring himself to harm the innocent princess. As they walked deeper into the woods, Snow White looked up at him with trusting eyes. "Why have we come so far, huntsman?" Snow White asked. Tears filled his eyes as he fell to his knees. "Forgive me, princess. The Queen ordered me to take your life," the huntsman confessed. Snow White gasped, stepping back in fear. "But I cannot do it. Run, princess, run and never return," the huntsman urged. Terrified, Snow White ran into the dark forest, the trees twisting around her like monstrous arms. After wandering for hours, Snow White stumbled upon a small, cozy cottage. Inside, everything was tiny. Small chairs, little beds, and plates just the right size for children. Who could live here? Snow White wondered, yawning as exhaustion took over. She curled up on one of the beds and fell into a deep sleep. Later that evening, the owners of the cottage returned, 7 dwarfs who worked in the mines. "Someone's been sitting in my chair," Grumpy grumbled, "and someone's eaten from my plate," said Happy. As they looked around, they found Snow White sleeping. "Oh my, she's beautiful," Bashful whispered, blushing. At that moment, Snow White stirred and sat up. "Oh, who are you?" Snow White asked, surprised. The dwarfs introduced themselves: Doc, Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, Bashful, Sneezy, and Dopey. Snow White explained her story, and the dwarfs, moved by her kindness, decided to let her stay. "You may stay, but you must be careful. The Queen will not rest until she finds you," Doc warned. Back at the castle, the Queen once again stood before her mirror. "Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?" The mirror replied, "Snow White, deep in the woods with the 7 dwarfs, is still the fairest of them all." The Queen's fury burned hotter than ever. She concocted a devious plan, disguising herself as an old peddler woman. "I will rid myself of her once and for all," the Queen cackled, preparing a poisoned apple. One afternoon, while the dwarfs were away, the disguised Queen arrived at a cottage. "Apples, dearie, the finest apples in the land," the Queen crooned, holding out a shiny red apple. Snow White, seeing no harm in an old woman, smiled kindly. "Oh, what a beautiful apple," Snow White said, reaching for it. "One bite, and all your dreams will come true," the Queen said, slyly. As soon as Snow White took a bite, she gasped. A sharp pain filled her chest, and darkness swallowed her vision. She collapsed to the ground, the poisoned apple rolling from her hand. The Queen laughed wickedly. "Now I am the fairest of them all." That evening, the dwarfs returned to find Snow White lifeless on the floor. "No, Snow White!" they cried, their hearts breaking. They could not bear to bury her, for she looked as if she were only sleeping. So they placed her in a glass coffin in the forest, where all the creatures of the woods mourned her. Days passed, and then one day a prince rode through the forest and saw the beautiful maiden lying in the glass coffin. "Who is this fair maiden?" the prince asked. "She is Snow White, the kindest princess to ever live. But she has fallen under a wicked spell," Doc explained sadly. Moved by her beauty and grace, the prince leaned down and placed a gentle kiss upon her lips. At that very moment, the spell broke. Snow White's eyes fluttered open, and she took a deep breath. Where am I?" Snow White asked, dazed. The dwarfs cheered with joy, and the prince took her hands. "You have awakened, my princess. Will you come with me to my kingdom?" the prince asked, smiling warmly. Snow White, grateful to her friends and overjoyed to be alive, nodded. "Yes, but I will never forget the kindness of my dear friends." She hugged the dwarfs goodbye and rode with the prince to his kingdom, where they lived happily ever after. Meanwhile, the wicked queen, upon learning that Snow White had survived, was struck by her own dark magic and vanished forever. And so love and kindness triumphed over jealousy and evil.